Ladies and gentlemen, it is springtime. That means Nordic Championship is back with another spring season. And today we got some fantastic games coming up to you. I will be your co-caster together with Henning, my one and only caster friend.
I thought you were going to say your only friend, and that sounded a little bit sad, but
I changed it to caster friend though,
yeah,
so that made
fine.
it work.
Awesome. So yeah, we're just about to jump into the spring season. So we've been having the Nordic Championship going on for a whole year last year, and now it's year number 2 that's starting out the second spring season. How are you feeling, Sang?
I'm feeling really great about this. It's good to be back again and to see how the Nordic region is improving and changing over this time.
Absolutely. We have been seeing a lot of great teams and players coming out of this region. Just to mention someone who had their huge breakout performance in the first spring split of the Nordic Championship, Blomsterfinn, played in the finals, couldn't quite take it home, but really played very well. And he's now playing in the LEC, so this is really a great opportunity for all these teams and players to make a big name for themselves.
Absolutely. And speaking of the teams and the players, let's have a look at the teams participating in this year's Nordic Championship. The final tribe up in the top: Celestial Gaming, Nyyrikki, White Fortress, Östersunds FK, placeholder 123, that's an actual team, Ventus Esports, Nordic, and finally Riptide.
So as you can see, there are two things here that are like premier in the Nordic Championship. So for the first time ever, Team Atlantis is not going to win. Team Atlantis has won two times in a row, and they can't because they're not participating here. Some of the players are, though. And the other thing that's completely new here is that for the first time, we've got an Icelandic team in the Nordic Championship, Sang.
And this is going to be great because, we don't really know anything about the Icelandic region. This is like the mythical beast somewhere up in the north, the Icelandic League of Legends players. Who are these people, and what do they do with their time when they're out there in the snow? Obviously, they're playing esport games.
Yeah, do they even have like an internet connection? How does that work? Is it like a big cable that's
I
going
hope
across
they have.
the sea?
I think actually, to be honest, I know you're joking around right now, but I think actually there is a giant cable under the sea providing internet to people. I think that is an actual thing that they do have in Iceland. So they have internet, obviously, because it would be kind of difficult otherwise to participate in this particular tournament as we are playing versus the entire Nordic region. And for today, it's going to be a really fun game to start off with to see Riptide versus Nyyrikki White.
Yeah, if we can take a look at the games that are going to be coming on today, we have Riptide here from Iceland in the Premier versus Nyyrikki. You have some really interesting players on their roster representing Finland, and then later on it's going to be Fortress from Denmark versus Celestial from Norway.
Also very happy to see that Celestial are in this year's Nordic Championship, as they have been participating for such a long time in Norway. We see them, we cast them from time to time, and finally they are here in the Nordic Championship as well.
Yeah, that's really a team name that you recognize from staying around in the Norwegian and the Nordic scene for such a long time. Finally going to get the chance to prove themselves here in the Nordic Championship as we are about to kick on the game. It's going to be on 9.3 where we're kicking this off. So the standard life patch, nothing too crazy to come out, but a lot of exciting picks that are enabled at the moment.
Absolutely. But first, we're going to start off with Nyyrikki White versus Riptide. These players are getting ready. Especially, I'm interested to see the Finnish players, because we talk a lot about Iceland right now, but we don't know that much about the Finnish League of Legends scene either.
Yeah, absolutely. They have had some really high-level players in the European scene. Someone like Taiki comes to mind, but still, they've not been participating that much when it comes to creating a national scene in the Nordic tournaments that we've been casting. Oftentimes it's been the Swedish, Danish, and Norwegian teams at the top. When we actually had the summer season last time around, where the teams could qualify from any country, there were no Finnish teams in the league, but now we have 2 Finnish teams back, and I'm excited to see this. Is there any particular player that you're looking forward to seeing here?
Well, I mentioned Jameru before, and honestly, I don't know that much about Jameru other than, any time I hear people talk about Finnish players, who's to look out for, who is these players in Finland, Jameru's name always somehow shows up. So that is something I want to see. He's going to play mid lane versus Addy, and Addy is a name I recognize from Iceland, but I can't really tell anything about it. That is the big problem right now. I don't know that much about these two teams, and in a way, that is so exciting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have some experienced players on the Nyyrikki lineup. perfectly agree with the Yammer there being a big standout player. I actually talked to the coach of Nyyrikki earlier, and he said that Yammer is the Finnish faker, so look out for him. And they also got Stenbosse in the top lane, who's a Swedish player that's got a lot of experience up in that top lane. So I think we've got some two very solid solo lanes for Nyyrikki. But on the other hand, Riptide, don't know that much about them. Do you think they could use this to their advantage somehow?
I mean, of course, not knowing anything about Riptide is, in a way, an advantage for them, I guess. But at the same time, it's really difficult because I don't think they know that much about a lot of the players from Finland as well. Because Finland, as I mentioned before, is kind of a dark region when it comes to teams from that country. So, and we know some of these players, Jamero definitely, Stenbosse definitely, but how will they play as a team? What kind of organization they have behind them, and how have they scrimmed to practice before this?
Yeah, we are about to find out as we are jumping into the picks and bans now in any second now. This is of course played in best out of 3 format, and the players are playing from home up until the finals, where they will be flown out to Stockholm to the DreamHack Monster Energy Studios to duke it out for that first place finish in the Nordic Championship.
So this is the game to start it all off. Finland versus Iceland. The players are getting ready to start it all off. And first of all, we're going to see the big draft. And in this, there are going to be some particular champions on this patch we'll have to look out for.
Absolutely. 9.3, we're looking at the reworked critical strike items as the big changes. So Yasuo, one that is either going to be showing up on the banning list or being picked quite early, I imagine. If any of these players know how to pilot him, can be played in the mid lane, but also bottom or top lane. So very versatile and extremely strong with the reworked crit items.
Yeah, absolutely. The crit item rework has been very interesting because it's kind of a rework and it's kind of reverting back to something we have seen before.
Yeah. Absolutely. We do have the pick and ban actually going on, so we are going to be jumping into that quite soon, but we can give some spoilers to you that Yorick, Lissandra, Sylas, and Cassiopeia have found themselves on towards the ban list already. I think Sylas is an interesting champion to ban out this early on, because I do think he's quite situational. It doesn't work out in a lot of lanes, have some clear counters, but there we see Sylas getting on the ban table, and there's Lucian as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Sylas is a little bit of a interesting champion to me because he's been struggling quite a bit. At first, when he was first released, he had like a detrimental like 38% win rate, and at professional level it was like terrible, to be honest. And then now he's gotten some buffs, and slowly as people learn how to play him, he's turned out to be quite an interesting champion.
For sure. The ban phase is over though, and we've got Jace as the first pick here for Nyyrikki. Stenbosse could be piloting that up in the top lane. I know he's a great Jace player, but can also go mid or even bottom lane. So that's definitely a flex pick, as you can't quite see the pick and ban, but we'll run you through it, so you'll be able to follow us. I'm still looking for Yasuo, though, as a big pick here, perhaps for Riptide here.
Absolutely. Yasuo, though, a little bit dangerous to pick too early. It can be counted quite heavily, and although Lissandra has been taken off the table, Ezreal will be the first pick for Riptide, and Tartalus looking for another one very soon. Ezreal, though, with Frostmancy.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting strategy that you can play with this particular champion that you could play on any champion really earlier, but now it's like stuck to Ezreal. Still being a good strategy, I'm not too sure at this level.
Yeah, we're about to see the Ezreal in the bottom lane could go for the Frostman's strategy, since you always have the support pretty close to you. One champion that is standing out to me when we've got Jace and Ezreal locked in already is the Zoe. Goes very well together with other poke champions. So I love Zoe, Ezreal as a combination. Also really like Zoe and Jace being able to poke someone out and almost one-shot them from a screen away. And hey, there we go with a pick and ban. No Zoe, no Yasuo, so my calls are looking kind of off so far.
Well, it's not too not too soon yet. Let's see. We got Sivir here as well. We didn't mention the Braum pick here together with Ezreal to proc together with those Mystic shots Ezreal has that counts as auto attacks to proc Braum's passive ability. Sivir together with Thresh, that you have a lot of kill pressure together with that.
Yeah, could look for a jungler here and then try to ban out Kenapil in the second round of banning phase. So maybe pick something like a Lee Sin or even a Nocturne here if you want that sort of aggressive AD jungler, and then pinning that jungle champion pool in the second banning phase. Could be the premier top laner that is still open though, with Urgot and Sylas banned away. Cyan is the big one that is standing out to me. Could have a tough time early on against the Jace though, so I'm looking forward to see if Nyyrikki chooses to put Jace up against Sion in the top lane and then do some sort of a strategy where they have an aggressive jungler and try to find these invades over and over, knowing that they will have top lane priority with the Jace versus Sion.
Absolutely, and now we see Corki taken off the table as well. So Riptide starting to form their team composition here. We'll see the next ban coming up in a few seconds here from Nyyrikki White. I am interested to see which kind of team composition they're going to build together with this, but we have strong lanes so far.
Yeah, for sure. I think Yamaru could very well play a Yasuo in this composition. Would go well together with the pushing lanes that you'd have both in top and bottom. So you'd have a lot of strong early game pressure and then mid game team fighting. And if he is this mechanical god that we've been hearing about, the Finnish faker, etc., that could be a strong point that you're looking for. Also, I'm gonna mention again the Zoe there as a strong pick in towards the mid lane with the Lissandra getting banned away as well.
Absolutely. Now Sejuani and Lee Sin now being the final ban for Riptide, showing that they are a little bit worried about the jungle power that comes from the Lee Sin, a champion that has been nerfed so many times and still somehow always stays relevant in this game.
Yeah, pretty much does everything, and you can see here that Riptide are trying to target the strategy where I mentioned, where you would pick an advantageous jungle matchup in that Lee Sin being able to invade a lot with the pushing lanes that you've got with Sivir and Jace so far. So I would prefer a jungler here for Riptide. Could pick up something like a Nocturne and then have that together with the Sion engage. Could be very strong. I do love that Paranoia together with hard engage like Sion and Braum, where you're able to really engage there. But you could also go in the direction of having more of a poking composition with the Ezreal. But it's going to be the Xin Zhao, a very strong early duelist.
Absolutely. So Xin Zhao not going to be too worried about dueling early, but that depends on the lane pressure. And the lane pressure right now with the Jace, with the push power from Sivir and Thresh down bottom lane with the dual ranged bot lane, makes an interesting choice here for Nyyrikki.
Jack's jungle is a pick that Kenapil can pull out here. He is the sort of counter that's been pulled out to the Xin Zhao as the only jungler who's really able to duel the Xin early, but it's going to be the complete opposite direction. He's not going to be trying to duel Xin Zhao early. He's just going to be trying to avoid all sort of early game confrontations and play that Ivern. And now Nyyrikki will have to show where this Jace is going to go. Is it going to be Stenbosse or Yamaru on this champion?
Ivern is also one of those champions that I really enjoy seeing in the jungle. He can be so annoying, kite so well with his Q, with the extra shield that he has. And the final pick now for Nyyrikki White in the mid lane, quite a heavy mechanical champion. It's the Orianna.
Absolutely gonna be able to be providing a lot of wave clear there, so you got a very safe sort of composition with Sivir, Jason, Orianna. Lane pressure in all lanes. I would still love the Zoe for Riptide here. I think it's a very strong champion at the moment. You're able to force the Orianna to take the cleanse. Have a lot of pressure, but ooh, there's gonna be the Anivia instead, Sang.
Yeah, that's an Anivia, so there's no Zoe, there's no Yasuo, neither of them are banned, and this just shows, again, like, not just for shade or anything on you, but this is difficult. It's really difficult to predict what these teams are going to do.
Yeah, for sure. Both because we don't know the teams and the players, and because on the current patch, so many different styles are possible. I just checked out what's been picked in the 5 big leagues, like the LCK, the LPL, and the LCS, etc. And the list of, in particular, mid and top laners is extremely long. So there's like all these champions that have been picked, and they don't even fit in one row. There's 2 rows of champions that are being picked in the mid lane right now. So everything is possible, and this Anivia is something I'm really looking forward to seeing. Also, triple teleport on both teams with a potential for even more teleports from the supports if they choose to go with the unsealed spellbook. This could spell for some very interesting split pushing scenarios.
Absolutely, and in a split push, Jace can be very annoying to handle, to be honest, but so can also Xin Zhao going in the jungle, having that huge kill pressure that he has. So what can really a Jace top lane do to handle this kind of jungle pressure when you have an Ivern in your jungle?
Yeah, this is what I don't like about the Nyyrikki composition. You want Stenbosse to be able to play very aggressive on this Jace. You want him to really have the pressure on towards the Sion, but at the same time, as you say, you have a jungler where you really want to avoid the enemy jungler at all times. You never want to duel Ivern versus Xin Zhao. That's one of the biggest like mismatches in the game, the great duelist versus the guy who just wants to go and shield his buddies. So This is what I don't like. Ivern needs to be able to get a lot of early vision down to protect Stenbosse, control the crabs on the top side of the map, give Stenbosse the room to play aggressive, because otherwise this Jace is going to get outscaled and not be able to do that much into the front line of Braum, of Sion, of Xin Zhao. Like, Braum just puts out the shield and Jace can't really do much, so he needs to have the pressure early on.
Absolutely, and Braum also being really good against Jace, who has quite a long cooldown on his poke, so making it a little bit annoying for him to get past the unbreakable shield of Braum. Also want to talk about this bot lane where Hoyts together with Bad Habit, Estrel and Braum. Looking at the items, there is no Spell Thief's Edge so far, but this is something that Estrel can go for. He can go for the Frostman C-play.
I have to interrupt because Turtles has not bought any items. I won't say that I'm a League of Legends expert, but I'm quite sure that having items is a good thing. Okay, so he recalls and buys those items, and it doesn't look like there will be any big invade going in, so he'll be fine early on, but still showing some nerves,
Yeah,
perhaps.
a little bit of tournament nerves, I can say, here for the Icelandic junglers. Turtles now running back again into the jungle. No one saw him except for everyone watching this stream, so no harm, no foul.
Exactly, but still being able to spot out the enemy jungler is very important. It's obviously always important, but in particular when you've got such a mismatch in the jungler, what Xin Zhao really wants to get into Ivern's jungle, being able to put pressure on in this matchup. So Xin Zhao really wants to know where Ivern starts to then be able to calculate where the Ivern is going to be ending up.
Clearing that ward, showing themselves though, so Bad Habit together with Hoyt will be spotted here. Another ward taken on picking off, so Azitor together with Selfway not going to have any wards at the start. Not too big problem for them though, I think.
So the name of the game for Nyyrikki here early on is to be shoving. They've got shoving lanes across the board. Great wave clear, great ability to just push the minions in. This is going to give Kenapil a lot of freedom on this Ivern, but he's going to be under pressure early on. Turtles just went from his own red buff into the enemy top side of the jungle, and it looks like he's going to go for the Scuttle Crab and not actually try to contest the buff.
Turtles has been pinged, so they know that he is there. You can see Kenapil is moving into his jungle instead. He's going to mark this blue buff and smite it immediately. Pick up level 2.
Yeah, the blue buff trade is going to be going down, and in these sort of scenarios, Ivern is not a great champion. He wants to obviously mark the camps, then go do something else, and then come back to pick up those marks, and that's very difficult to do in the opposing jungle. So just trading side to the jungle, like going into the enemy side and then trading like that, as we're seeing right here, that is beneficial for the Xin Zhao as he's making his way towards Stenbosse. He might have a tough time on this Jace here.
Turtles up top lane, he's moving in, getting knocked back. Stenbosse are not taking too much damage from that gang. Turtles also showing himself, he's just got level 3, and Ivern is a few last hits ahead of him, actually.
Very important point there, Sang. Turtles showed himself in the top side with 12 CS, so they know, okay, he's got 3 camps, they saw a red buff and a blue buff, and then they can obviously know that he's been going for that crab, so they know exactly what's been going down in that Xin Zhao's jungling path, and that gives Kenapil on this Ivern a lot of freedom to be able to make things happen. And I believe we saw a hook line in the bottom lane because that was first blood going down.
That was indeed first blood. Almost a little bit of a missed spell shield there by Azitor. Down bot lane, that must have been a really good hook to catch Bad Habit off guard and pick up that first blood.
Yeah, really not a matchup where you're expecting to see a lot of kills here. I'm expecting Sivir just to be able to shove these waves and then have the Thresh roam and try to make plays perhaps in the mid lane against an immobile Anivia without that second combat summoner. No cleanse, no heal, no ghost, so can be able to make things happen there, but able to pick up that in 2 versus 2, and that can prove to be very important when it comes to these first back timings. And we spoke about the changes to the crit items. This could be the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge early on for this Sivir, and just be able to shove with all that mana back from the new reworked Essence Reaver.
Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but Stenbosse also playing with Kleptomancy this game, so he's harassing quite a lot up top lane with those auto attacks and just chaining his abilities to keep stacking his Kleptomancy.
Gang going towards the bottom side. This could be strong. There is still a flash here.
Forcing the flash immediately. Turtle is taking a little bit of damage from the turret, but a good gank to force a flash from Azitor.
Yeah, Tartarus has not been able to find any sort of jewels onto Kenapel early on, so I have to say this has been a beneficial early game for the Ivern. 2 camps ahead at the moment, and has gotten these boots of mobility, and this really is a strong point for the Ivern, being able to get so much ganking pressure down with these boots. He can just run into a lane, and he can like almost run up to you in melee because he's so fast with these boots of mobility, and then he's always going to be able to land that Q, get the CC down, and he's got a lot of damage in all of these lanes.
Also, Recall up top lane. Of course, Dan Busse is coming back to the lane with a little bit of extra lethality in the bag. Down bottom lane, Acer also did get the first blood, although that is Selfway that picked up the gold for that one.
Yeah, interesting to see here that Hoy's been going for the tier first on this Ezreal, so he's kind of conceding this laning phase. He's gonna get a quick Muraman and then be able to start stack the second tier quite early. But a lot of the time you see a Sheen first instead when you really want to be fighting, so they're just expecting to get pushed in this bot lane matchup and not be able to do anything. And here you can see exactly what I'm talking about. They're just getting shoved under tower over and over. And every time this happens, Selfway can move away slightly, so they have to play really scared, not knowing where the thresh is, and they can get a bit of ship damage either on the enemy bottom side or on the tower.
Kenapel up top lane with Stenbus, and Turtles though was around, is going to make sure that his top lane gets away, although Nifla had to burn his ultimate. Or rather, did he actually have to use his ultimate in that situation?
Oh.
Down bottom lane, there's another huge attack coming up. That Habit losing HP fast. Is going to survive, but just barely.
Yeah, you can see the tower plating going down already, not even 7 minutes in with the demolish from Selfway. So this is just going to be a very bad time for the bottom side. Also not sure what's happening in the jungle matchups. You've got Ivern versus Sinsao, and Ivern's almost twice the CS at this point, doing really well in that matchup. And you did see in the top side engagement there how scared Kenapel had to be for the 2 versus 2, knowing that even if he has the gate, he's not going to win the 2v2. But still, he's farming up a storm. He's really happy here on this Ivern.
No real attempts to invade from Tartarus, except from that first one where he kind of didn't want to lose out on the blue buff, so they traded it. But apart from that, Kenapel has just been farming. Tartarus has been trying to get some ganks off, but not quite been able to get anything from it except from that one flash down bottom lane.
Absolutely not a great time for the Sinsao early on. Needs to make something happen with this level 6 that I can imagine he's going to be able to pick up quite soon. Could perhaps try and make a play towards that mid lane, since you've got a lot of pressure with the wall, but Addy using all of his mana on shoving out this way. He does have the tier though, so we'll be able to have a lot of mana in the bank later
Is he
on.
going to get this blue buff though? Looks like it's moving towards it, so Tartarus is going to make sure that his mid laner can stay even versus Jamaru.
Yeah, but it's still Sinsao falling behind to an Ivern early on in the jungle. Not what you're expecting to see, not what you'd like to see if you're a Icelandic fanboy here.
Absolutely. Now, it's a little bit of a difficult situation here for the Icelandic team, as they are struggling to keep up in gold versus Finland, already behind 1.5k. It's only been 8 minutes. All of this comes from that one kill, and also, of course, a lot of farm gold.
Yeah, absolutely. This dragon that we're seeing on the bottom side of the map, though, the mountain being up here, it's a really strong dragon to try and secure early on, as it gives you pre-mitigation damage on the towers. And early on, when the towers have a lot of defensive bonuses coming from those plates, that's going to be really useful to have, as the Underhunt was used to escape. They're more like on the run.
On the run, Azitur down bot lane. Another attempt by Tartarus. He has level 6 now, but again, can't really do anything. Even though Azitur already used his flash earlier, he's still so safe with the threat, just using the lantern to run away from fights.
Yeah, and there's frankly isn't that great of a gank setup for Tartarus anywhere. He does have that level 6 now, have unlocked the Crescent Guard, so wants to make something happen, perhaps onto Kenapel in a duel here, but you can see how much pressure Stenbossa has. He is out of mana on this Jace though, but he's going to be able to get away with those boots of mobility, and look how cool he runs when he's just running around without a care in the world with the boots of mobility.
Yeah, he got the flair running around with that extra movement speed, but no, like, he's been doing great on this Ivern, showing Ivern's great strengths here right now, just been able to farm, being able to kite away from the jungler. So even though Xin Zhao has a lot of pressure just having that extra damage, he can't really get too close to Kenapil, no matter what he does. Oh, another great hook coming up. Unbreakable is going to block some of the damage up top lane, though. Stianbuse is pushing at the same time as Toys managed to get away. He is playing Ezreal, though, so he's not too worried, although I am surprised how many of these hooks have been finding their mark.
Yeah, very strong plays from Selfway so far on this version. There's the Iron Q.
That's the Iron Q, and I think this is going to be a kill. The Unbreakable Shield will not be able to save that habit, and this is the second kill picked up on the support for the Icelandic team.
And Addy has just backed from the mid lane on this Anivia, so they do have mid priority as well. I would be surprised if this doesn't mean Mountain Dragon going over to Nyyrikki, and that's just what you want with a composition like this. You've got Jace, you've got Sivir, you've got Orianna, so much ability to shove the waves, hit the towers, get those plates. They're going to be securing an even stronger early game lead with the tower plates. You can just see someone like Stianbuse right now, 1.2 thousand gold up, both from CS Kleptomancy, but also from getting 3 tower plates in under 11 minutes. Impressive play so far from Nyyrikki.
Absolutely. Like, this is starting to become a very scary lead for Nyyrikki White. Riptide need to do something with this team competition. They can't just scale forever. It's going to be an underkill. The Unbreakable is going to block a lot of this damage, but Ignite has landed. Cardless managed to flash away, and looks like Nyyrikki White is going to back off for now. Almost getting caught out of position there, Selfway taking some damage.
Yeah, there was top teleport advantage for Riptide there. Stianbuse did not have his TP, so I think it was a smart choice not to push too far in right there, since the Sion TP could come in from behind at any given moment. So just play cautious. Be happy with that Mountain Dragon. You've got a good scaling advantage anyway, so you don't have to force anything too hard.
Oh, Stianbuse playing so annoying with his Jace up top lane. As you just mentioned, he is in a huge lead in gold just from being able to land all of these auto attacks, chaining them with his abilities.
Yeah, that's like the holy trinity of making gold there. You got the CS lead, you got the tower plates, and you got the Kleptomancy. As well as actually take a look at Stianbuse. He is sitting at 5,000 gold compared to 3.6k for Nipla, so we'll be going for that Black Cleaver after getting some lethality, so they're able to shred through the armor of the Jace, right, of the Sion as well.
Slight push down bot lane, though, is finally going to give some extra gold from the plating for the Icelandic bot lane. So something, good things are happening. They are quite even as well in the CS score down bot lane, but I am not sure about this. I mean, Ezreal versus Sivir with this new patch. Up top lane, though, there is a fight. Stianbuse taking a little bit of damage, and Tartarus doesn't quite dare to move forward. Nifla is just backing off. And they did not want to have this fight, although Stianbuse seems to always be
oh, what a hook!
That is the perfect hook land, and the ult is going to hit nothing but air. It looks like Hoyes is going to fall now. Doesn't quite land the boomerang play, though. Now turning it around instead on the Anivia as 80 is moving forward. He's in the egg, but the egg is not going to survive for very long. And that's another quick kill, although not on the target. The fight started to focus.
Wow, TP's coming in right there, and of course you cannot cancel them anymore. And the hooks coming out of Selfway. First, an amazing prediction hook on towards the Ezreal, and then on to the Anivia as well.
Oh, Hoyes! He's caught again! And the play to finish the job. This bot lane is now steamrolling as Nyyrikki White picks up their 3rd kill down bot lane.
They are really snowballing this game hard right now, and a clear sign that a team is far ahead is that they're able to make plays on both sides of the map at once. So they did win the team fight in the bottom lane, but they also had pressure up top lane and even got the first tower blood there to increase their gold lead even more. 6,000 gold at 14 minutes. This is a huge lead.
I think they've managed to pick up something like, I don't know, there was 5 turret plates up top lane. I think there were 3 or 4 turret plates bot lane, and then some in the mid lane as well. That is so much gold in the bag just simply by pushing.
Yeah, really able to make the Mountain Dragon worth a lot right there. As I said, it gives you pre-mitigation damage, and the towers are quite tanky before the turret plates fall, but Mountain Dragon gives you that damage on towards them and being able to secure all of that gold. With that said, it's not like Riptide have a terrible scaling team comp. They still have the Anivia and Ezreal providing the damage with the protection from a Braum and a Scion. That's not a terrible team comp if this goes like 35-40 minutes. They're going to be in a good position, especially with a really hard scaling build from Anivia, Rod of Ages, and Tyr. But frankly saying, this game is not going to go to 35-40 minutes unless Nyyrikki messes up.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's up to Nyyrikki right now. They have to lead. Let's see what they can do with it. Riptide right now is trying to answer all of this aggression. They're farming down the bot lane, farming in the mid lane, but the Rift Herald is about to fall. Although Ivern takes it quite slowly, it has finally fallen, and that will be deployed somewhere, I think, very soon, possibly right here in the mid lane, as that is going to be a quick pickup by Jamero in a 1 versus 1. I'm not sure, did Genapeel even get any extra assist from that?
I am not sure, actually. I don't think so, but that is such a great timing for Nyyrikki because you pick up the Rift Herald and then you kill the enemy Supreme Wave Clear. So Anivia will be able to keep these towers safe for a very long time, but Anivia is dead. So these are going to be 2 mid lane towers going down, a huge amount of gold, as well as a lot of mad pressure going on with Nyyrikki.
Also, look at all of these pets. We have Daisy, we have the Rift Herald, both fashionably dying together. Still managing to push down 2 turrets with all of this pressure. Another huge chunk of global gold in the finished pockets of Nyyrikki White.
Yeah, we'll be able to pick up the Ocean Dragon here and then get a very good recall, a lot of gold in the pockets of a lot of the members on Nyyrikki. The big question to me is, what do you do after this? Because anyone can kill Dragon.
Are they going for this? Well, they tried. They tried to go for this. I was excited for a second. Like, I didn't mean to interrupt you or anything, but I saw Turtles just beelining for that fight, and I'm like, this is going to happen. But no, it didn't, because there's so much disengage by Nyyrikki White as well, and they pick up bot lane turret just for good measure.
Yeah, that's going to be a very hard engage to make happen. But as I said, I think the interesting question is, what happens now? Anyone can look at the map and say, okay, it's good. We got an early lead, so we're going to take the outer towers. We're going to, after we get the top lane tower, we're going to go to the Herald. We get the bottom lane tower, we're going to go to the Dragon. We're going to use Herald to crack open the mid lane. But now when all those objectives are done, what do? Do you go for a big grouping play on towards either the top lane or the bottom lane? Because that's where the 2 towers... second tier towers are still open. Do you try to make some sort of a pick in the enemy jungle, or do you just try to farm it out? It's interesting to see what Nyyrikki does with this lead here.
Nyyrikki also starting to hit that point on Sivir, where she has the Infinity Edge. She's starting to stack up the crit, and that's the point where I think Nipla is going to find himself in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. You can see some of these very large gold leads, though. I mean, since I was sitting on his jungle item and Boots of Speed, that is not the position you want to be in on an early game snowballing jungler that wants to duel the enemy. I mean, Turtles, we've been talking a lot about him, but he's not been having the best of games so far. Still has a chance to get back here, though, if he's able to make some sort of an engage happen. I mean, they do have the tools with the Scion ulti, with the Braum being able to flash Glacial Fissure. They can make an engage happen. The question is it too late? Are they too far behind?
I think absolutely in this game, at a lot of points, you can still look for your opponents to make mistakes, but they have to look deep to find a mistake that will bring them back into this game, as Nyyrikki is playing very cautiously. They have so much disengage, it's really difficult to catch any one of them off guard.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. The Sivir ultimate being such a strong utility spell to get away from any sort of engage right here. You got the Lantern as well. They're going to be sieging down the second tier tower. And I'd honestly make the call that, okay, after you pick this up, you want to great wall.
Might be a good wall situation
the
there, but yeah. That's the flash, and that's the Lantern. Down bot lane as well. Stenbusa is split pushing versus Nipla, and this is a good situation for Stenbusa. I mean, he can just continue to force Nipla under that turret. Slime doesn't have the best wave clear, although it's not the worst, but Jace is so annoying to lane against.
Yeah, for sure. He needs to get up and close to that wave, and at this point I would honestly say that if you're Nyyrikki, okay, you just really go hard at securing vision in the top side jungle and then set up for the Baron. But the Baron hasn't even spawned yet, so we're not even 20 minutes in and they've got a lead that's this large. So they are going to be setting up for that. For the
30
Baron
seconds though.
Yeah.
It's 20 seconds now.
It's
Even
about
we are going to see a Baron dance. This has to be a Baron dance because if Riptide aren't able to stop Nyyrikki from getting this Baron, I think it's going to be almost impossible to get back into this game.
Question is, what kind of Baron dance is it going to be? Is it going to be one of those nice, like, waltzes or tangos where there are two people really going at it passionately? Or is it just going to be one of those dances that you see on, like, the dance floor clubs where a guy just goes hard?
I'm thinking more of a modern interpretive dance where we sort of understand what's going on, but aren't quite sure that what we think is going on is what they think is going on.
Alright, so like a fancy art sort of dance.
Yeah, sort of artsy kind of dance. Like right now, for example,
this doesn't look that fancy art, so this looks like two people running at each other.
It looked like the dance was about to start and then it didn't. But oh, that's huge damage. The hook lands as well. No flash, no reaction, as I think, yeah, that is going to be a kill. The only question was who was going to get it, and that was a play. So Yamaru got outplayed. The self-wave picked it up.
He honestly deserves it. I mean, a lot of people give supports a hard time if they take the kills. I think he deserves it at this point. They are going to be setting up the Baron, though, with all the bushes that you can't get down. It's going to be really annoying to try and get this, but they have to fight this. Riptide have to make something happen here. This is the window of opportunity where they need to go in and make something happen.
It's quite scary to try to do this without an envision, without your jungler. Another hook landing, and it's a beautiful one, forcing the flash immediately. Glacial Fissure as well, flashing forward, going in now with the Sion going deep from behind. There comes Steelbuster forcing on the damage dealers away from this fight, but Steelbuster has been outplayed. Can they turn this around? Nipla managed to keep them away for such a long time, but Baron's still going low, finally going down, and Nipla is not going to be able to kill Yamaru before he kills Addis.
This really is Hook City right now for Nyyrikki Selfway. He's the MVP in this game by far, being able to pull off such an amazing performance. You've got to criticize Steelbuster, though, got very overconfident, flashed into two people in the enemy backline, was so close to killing both, but in the end, he went down.
Yeah, the Black Cleaver works wonders against a Sion. Maybe not so much in a 1 versus 2 situation where he landed himself, but although he died, he did zone away Hoist and Addis from that fight for the longest time. And Nipla sort of tried to do the same, but I'm not sure really. In the end, I mean, Nyyrikki White, they were the ones who got the Baron. That is what they wanted.
Yeah, for sure, that is the big prize at this point in the game. And Nivea can stall the game so well. You've got the wave clear from like Sion Ezreal as well. If the enemy team does not pick up the Baron, that is. When the enemy team has the Baron, you're going to be having such a rough time as the Anivia. Going to be very hard to kill these minions. Sure, the wall helps a lot, but if you're using the wall to force the minions to stay and to be able to kill the wave, then you won't have your greatest utility up for fighting and trying to catch out the enemy team.
And that's another dragon, that this is going to be another turret. There's so much gold in the bank, so many dragons. There's so much potential for a fight from Nyyrikki White.
I really love the decision Dev's was split pushing right now. Just a classic 4-1. This Jace is far ahead of this Sion. Won't be able to kill him, but will be able to push in the wave, get damage on the tower, especially with a Baron buff as well. So I think executing this endgame as a 4-1 split push is definitely the correct choice. Wall is close to being able to make a lot of things happen there onto Acidor, but Stenbosa has roamed down to the mid lane. From here, he could even join the team in the bottom side, or they're going to go for the mid lane tower.
Go for the mid lane, and also we have to mention Selfway again, because not only is he landing those hooks, his lanterns is allowing Acidor going this deep, and this is what happens when the fight starts. Look at that damage as Acidor is on a killing spree, now moving forward, chasing down the Braum, and without the Unbreakable, he is breakable indeed. Inhibitor going down, and it looks like this will be game 1 going to Nyyrikki White. They have the open base, they have the minions, they have the Baron buff, and it's up to Nipla and Hoist to try to stop them.
Wow, yeah, this is going to be very close actually, because the respawn timers are so short, but okay, I'll change my mind. It's not going to be that close. The respawn timers are a bit too long. the Nexus turrets go down, and this is going to be Nyyrikki looking for the Nexus.
Absolutely. Nexus is the main focus as they are just ignoring Niffler right now. That is the Nexus kill, which means game 1 is over. Nyyrikki White 13-1 in kills, 15k gold ahead.
Yeah, very close in the early game with the Sinsao not being able to make anything happen, though. You got the gold from the tower platings that you got across the map. You had the Mountain Dragon as well, so they just snowballed, and in the end, it was not a close game at all. Before 25 minutes, it's over with a 15k gold lead, so very well executed from Nyyrikki. I don't think they made any big mistakes this game.
No, like I was going to say this, it was a very paced game by Nyyrikki White. Usually when you see a team snowball like they did, they knew they were ahead in kills, in CS, in turrets, in objectives like Rift Herald and Dragon, and still they paced themselves so well. There were no really real options for Riptide. So looking at that, going into game 2, I'm really interested to see if we're going to see the same kind of paced gameplay from them, or if they're like, okay, so we try the waters, we realize like this is warm enough for us to just jump straight in.
They are from Finland, though, so they don't need warm water to jump in. You know, they'll
like,
just...
Sorry, cold enough for us.
Exactly, yeah, go from the sauna and then jump in the cold water. I mean, I would love to see that in style in game number 2. I think being able to showcase multiple styles early on makes it very unpredictable for the later stages of the tournament. So now that you're up against Riptide, who might be one of the weaker teams from what we've been seeing so far, I think it could be a good opportunity to test out another style if you want to play with a more aggressive jungler, maybe play a Lee Sin and Olaf, try to make a lot of stuff happen early on instead.
Do you think this is what we have to expect from Riptide, coming from Iceland, being the kind of like dark horse, dark region? We don't really know anything about what kind of level of play they can put out, or is this their level, or was this simply just a well-executed plan by Nyyrikki White?
I honestly think that Riptide had the tools to be able to make things happen. I just think they got outplayed in all of the lanes, being pushed in all the time, and then Tartarus could not do anything in this beneficial jungle matchup. So I think Riptide, they have to just take more initiatives, get the more pushing and winning lanes early on to be able to make things happen, because this game they were just losing slowly.
Absolutely, and that is up to the draft. The draft we will see between Riptide and Nyyrikki White will happen in a few minutes, but before that, let's go to a break.